All right, and we're live, boys. So don't talk shit anymore. We're recording. And as I say that, Idris just pops a pill. Fucking hell, bro.
No, actually just dropped some water on my shirt when I was drinking.
How could you,
The
bro?
gentleman, the gentleman.
If I was gonna pop one, it'd be maybe omega-3 fish oil, or maybe like a multivitamin. Especially now, because if you think about it, bro, our immune system is our number one defender, right?
That's it.
That's it.
So that's probably the only thing I'll be popping, bro.
Man, I've been getting a lot of Uber Eats lately, and I'm not afraid to say it. But there's this one crazy story ever since this lockdown happened, right? I ordered Thai, and sure enough, I see it on the application. It's arrived, and they're doing this thing now where they don't want you to come out. They just drop it in front of your house and leave it there. And just I saw the lady coming. It was a small Asian lady with a mask on, and she's coming in, and I opened the door to come in and say hello and thank you for the food. And I see her, and she puts the food on the floor, and then she backs away, and she kind of like presents it as a gift, as if to say, "Here's your food. I don't want to, initiate any contact. I want to maintain social distancing." And I was just like, "Oh, thank you very much." I picked it up and said bye, and that's it. What a fucking world we live in now. Hey, everything's changed.
Interaction, bro. I reckon it's funny how you can actually see who's coming with your food as well. Like they're actually on the bike and all.
Hussein, Mandeep,
You can track
fucking.
them right to their point. You can pinpoint right where they are every second of the way. You can see when they take the wrong turn as well.
It's the China
Like,
system.
why would you take that turn?
It's the China system, bro. They're tracking
What
everything.
about when there's an Uber coming for you and it's doing a U-turn and it takes 20 minutes to do a U-turn? You're like, what are you doing? Surely that's not just a U-turn.
Oh man, very
U-turn,
crazy times.
bro. But yeah, boys. Actually, man, last time us three spoke, when was it? Fuck.
It's been a while since
Been a
us
while,
three
bro.
together. Yeah,
Or ever.
yeah.
No, it's been a very, very long time, man. We're talking like back when we just finishing high school pretty much all together. If we were in the same house or party or vicinity, we wouldn't have even been having the same conversation together. So, but that's it. Here we are now. It's been a while, Idris, man. It's good to see your face, bro.
Good to see you too, bro. I came across your Instagram actually a couple months ago. Do you remember I left you a comment?
On the Inter one?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was beautiful. I actually didn't know whether it was you or one of my students at Condell Park High because I taught like 17 Idrises and they were follow it as well. I'm like, oh my God, which one's this man? So I had to do a little bit of digging. I'm not good with Instagram, man. I don't touch that very often, but thanks.
Oh, you still got the page going, or?
Yeah, like other people handle the socials. I'm just really about the YouTube and the website at the moment, trying to get articles out and whatnot. But at the end of the day, man, it's a tough time to put content out for a small person from Sydney doing it as a hobby when brands like Sky Sports and Fox Sports and the Premier League and the NBA are all not playing. Like, unbelievable how much money and revenue is being lost, bro. Like, what do you boys reckon?
Yeah, 100%.
Unbelievable. How are they going to resurrect next season? That's the biggest argument now. They've just set deadlines today. UEFA, the governing body of European football, just said if you can't restart your domestic league by May 28, you need to can it. And that's that. And you need to have a solution ready.
Which league is this?
This is UEFA saying it, and they're the European governing body for football. So that means this is going out to countries like England, Italy, Spain, Portugal, France, Germany. They're saying like, you need to restart your league by May 28 and have a plan together, or you need to void it altogether.
So they're like mid-season, are they?
Yeah, you're a bit past mid-season now. You're probably about like 60 to 65% of the way. Yeah. It's the tough one because like in some leagues you've got the team coming first and the team coming second is only 1 point, 2 points, 3.6 points, and that's fine. But then you've got England, for example, and anyone who's a Liverpool fan is just cracking the shits because they're 22 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Dang. And like they haven't won it in 30 years, and this is all that they've wanted. They've wanted this more than anything in the world. And here, the only thing that could screw it up now is literally a global event that stops all sport, and here we are. So comical, but even as a someone who doesn't like Liverpool, I still think I'll give them the league. But more importantly, what do you reckon is going to happen in terms of money, revenue, logistics going on? Because you put the NBA, golf, Formula One, tennis. This sport
Nothing's going on right now.
What makes the world turn to a degree, bro.
You know, Dana White, the president of the UFC, was gonna hit a home run if he made Khabib and Tony Ferguson the fight, but someone stepped in and said, "You're not doing this." Someone from up there, someone very powerful, because he's a lunatic, right? He's the president of the UFC, of people fighting each other almost to the death in cages, right? And then he was gonna pull it off. He was gonna do it, and then someone stepped in and said, "Nah, you're not doing this." So one of the big boys said, like, "Nah." So that's how serious this is. No one has a free pass. So to answer your question, Privz, I don't know. Like, I think the NBA and the major soccer leagues will be okay because they got the players, right? The players are the people who make the whole thing go. So as long as they got the commitment of the players, they can set the scene, they can set the tournament, whatever the competition. It'll all come back eventually. It's just gotta wait till all of this shit. Maybe if a vaccine comes out, I don't know. It's literally day by day. Anything could happen.
Well, the NBA said maybe May 8th they'll let people start training again. Sorry, Idris.
No, bro. But like you said, bro, I was fucking dying, man. For those Liverpool fans that have waited their whole life for a Premier League. And it's the funniest thing because when Liverpool's going well, all the Liverpool fans are popping up. And they're the worst fans as well. So,
why are they the worst fans?
It's just
you know, man. Like you watch much of the English Premier League.
Yeah, man. I've followed it my whole life. It's just a thing. If you don't go for Liverpool, you know what their fans are like. If you don't go for Man United, you know what their fans are like. It goes for everybody. It's just that you kind of feel sorry for them to a degree, even though it's so funny watching it at the same time. You're like, fuck, man. I don't know if I could live with myself, to be honest. If you were as passionate as we are about football, right? But oh, well, it'll go on. And like, they're a good team. They're a well-built squad. Like, they're a team that's everybody in the club and the structure of the club is on the same page, from the chairman down to the canteen lady, bro. You could say, like, everybody. The club has an identity, and when clubs and franchises in sport have an identity, that's when they succeed, man. When everybody's on the same page. So Liverpool's a good club. They're running well at the moment, bro. And there's a lot of teams that have been like that over sport, man. They're the best ones to watch.
Bro, I'm the biggest fan of Klopp. Like, I haven't. Him and what's his name, Guardiola, two absolute masterminds, man. Klopp in particular, man. I remember years ago he started building, and I was like, this guy's building something scary. Yeah. Starting from the back as well.
Yeah, he's
money on the back.
Yeah, Guardiola's a good coach, but he's only really done it at clubs with a lot of star players and sometimes with minimal competition. But like at the same time, when he won with Bayern Munich, you know, Bayern Munich's a big powerhouse in Germany. You have to be a shit manager to go manage Bayern Munich and not win the German league. If you cough up the German league, you know, it's still like there's still some good clubs in Germany like Borussia Dortmund, but at the end of the day, it's still pretty easy. But now with Man City, you know, he had a big checkbook, man, so he spent a lot of money. But he's still a very good manager. His career speaks for itself, bro. You can't fake it when you've won as much as he has.
Yeah, he's always
This is my
he's
favorite
always
player,
had
boys.
big bucks. But
Peter
I
Crouch.
think the fact that he was able to go in and kick a few of the superstars out of Barcelona when he first started, I think that's where he kind of got a little bit of authority.
Yeah, of course. Well, Ronaldinho had to make way for Messi, bro. You can't have them both. Not when Messi's peak is going to start really, really early. A lot sooner than they anticipated, anyway. But I'll get ready for a big downfall of Barcelona when Messi leaves, bro. A huge identity of their club in the modern era is going to go with it. So
you're right.
That's what happens when a club becomes too over dependent on one player, man. You gotta try and phase out of that mentality before the player phases out of the club, I reckon.
You see, I think it's the opposite in the NBA because you got Kobe, you got LeBron, who both played for Los Angeles. So it's like Los Angeles is the place to go.
Trading and transferring in the NBA is so much easier than transferring from another football team to another, man. They trade and bounce players around all day. That's why you can see players like good players who had a really good career, they'll bounce to like 6 or 7 clubs in the NBA at the end of their career, right? Yeah. They'll just bounce and bounce and bounce. And like, it's just easy. Like, you know, some players in the NBA, they don't even know they're being traded. They get a phone call in the morning going, oh, hey, man, you're being traded. Oh, shit, I just got my kids settled in school.
God. Did you hear the story about Matt Barnes? He got traded whilst they were playing the game.
What?
And then when the coach heard that, all right, Barnes is traded, they subbed him off, and he sat off the rest of the game because he can't play legally. It was so dirty.
That's dirty, bro.
Dirty. Yeah.
That's the thing I don't like, man. You're too much of a commodity.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, pretty
understand
much.
it definitely comes with the paycheck, but I don't know, I just feel like that whole feeling of being a commodity takes its toll as well, eh? Even after the big bucks.
Yeah, you're an asset, man. And you could tell, like, the way that the going back to the Jordan Netflix series, the way that the Bulls were constructed. You had the best player in the world and the best number 2 player in the world in Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan, and then you have this crazy fucking guy that we were talking about before we started, Dennis Rodman, who's known for his attitude, and he's just like, he fits the role, and they managed to do something crazy.
They did, bro. How many championships did they win? 6?
6, man. Jordan did 2 3-peats.
That's sensational stuff, bro.
And then what happened? He took a year off as well.
When his dad died, he took about a year and a bit off, and he started to play baseball, and he wanted to play in the MLB, but they didn't let him there because obviously he wasn't that good, so he had to start in the rookie leagues.
And then didn't he come back in 1996 or something and won it straight away?
Pretty much, yeah. When he came back to the Bulls, and then back to winning championships. Just a serial winner. He's the best winner of all time. No doubt.
He is, bro. He's a part of the 1% in athletes. He's the creme of the crop, bro. The MJ, the Muhammad Ali, I'll chuck Roger Federer in there because I love him as a bloke, and I think he's just the ace of the sport as well, man. So
yeah,
maybe not up that caliber. I don't know, bro. I love Roger.
You know, it's interesting that you say the 1% because me and Drissy were talking about Michael Jordan, but not for that 1%, for another 1%. We think MJ is a globalist.
Oh, straight up.
Maybe. He fits the criteria. You know, he's got a lot of influence.
He's rich. He's a rich dude.
Rich motherfucker.
Super rich. Super rich, bro.
Yeah.
Super rich, super successful. He's got the traits of a globalist if you think about it.
2.1 billion is his net worth.
2.1 billion?
2.1 billion.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
He makes $130 million a year from Nike.
How much do his Jordans go for these days? What's the range like?
Probably a few $100. American.
About 200, 240.
How good would it be if he just drops the price on all of them and just makes them like accessible to every American? How good would that be?
That would be nice. That would be a nice favor that another human would do for other people.
It's like Mike, the movie. The kid finds the shoes on top of the wires. He gets electrocuted and he starts playing like Michael Jordan.
So you're saying that Michael Jordan should donate, but he should hang them all on
wires.
Oh, what a movie, bro. Little Bow Wow, huh?
He'll have a lot of lawsuits if the kids start getting electrocuted.
Yeah, Privz. I remember I went through your Instagram, but I was like, fuck, look at this dude, bro. Passionate as fuck. I'm like, just chatting football. I was like, I rate it, bro.
I love it, bro. It's a universal language, man. Sorry?
Who were the guys overseas? Are they just, who we linked up with?
Yeah, I just linked up with like just English-speaking Inter fans, man. I realized that there wasn't really anyone doing much in terms of communicating verbally and just more like raw material for English-speaking Inter fans. There's plenty in Italian, like they're a very, very big club. But in terms of having English-speaking Inter content, there was only maybe one outlet, and I thought I need a hobby, something else to fill some time with, and why not do something I enjoy? So I just started writing, and I linked up with a couple of guys from overseas and spoke to another guy that already had a social running, and we just linked it all up together, and it's been about a year and a half now. It's just something to do. We do like match reactions. We write a lot about the news and whatever for Inter and other Italian football, but at the moment, not much to talk about.
What's Lukaku done for you guys? Do you reckon he's added another element or what?
100%, bro. He's a very, very good striker when you can deploy him properly, tactically. He gets his back to goal really well. Like, if you watch some of the goals he scored this season, sometimes he just receives the ball with back to defender and he'll just bump him off, just nudge him off like he's going to the post in the NBA. He's a pure athlete, bro. A pure athlete, and he plays in a 3-5-2 under Antonio Conte, which means that you get two strikers up top, which means you can almost guarantee you have more space than if you're an isolated striker. And if your other striker is really quick and agile and can maybe carry defenders and confuse the living shit out of them, you've got more space. Lukaku is a wash, bro. You give him a little bit of space, it's game over. So our pairing striker with him, Lautaro Martinez, is very good at doing exactly that.
Argentine,
yeah. So that's why Lukaku's thriving in this particular system and this league. He was built for this league, bro. Like, he could have an average game, he'll still score a goal, man. And at the end of the season, you could go, man, Lukaku had 15 average games and scored 17 goals altogether in those average games. And then he had maybe 7 or 8 good games where he scores 2. But yeah, he didn't really fit tactically very well in the Premier League when he was there, but he still scored a lot of goals, bro. He's a natural goal scorer.
Yeah, like you said, but you need that second striker running off him, bouncing around him. And if that striker's good at making space for him as well, leaves him one-on-one with his defender, that's it. They're done.
It's a primary part of the attack. It means that you don't necessarily have to build from the back because you've only got 3 defenders anyway in a 3-5-2. So a lot of the time, it's a good idea to maybe hit the long ball. One of your big strikers can knock it down, and then you can start play again. Beautiful. But at the end of the day, it really depends on how good the rest of your team is and your defenders, bro. You know it too well, bro. Are you still playing, man? Or obviously at the moment, no one's playing anything, bro.
Yeah. The season's pretty much caught off, but I retired beforehand, bro.
Yeah.
I took time off at the start of the year, man. It got a bit got too repetitive for me, man. Didn't really have the love for it anymore. I was doing it for a while, man. So but I still love the game, bro. Still watch it heaps. It's cool. For me, Premier League is what I've watched for a while, man. So I'm kind of stuck to that, but I do dabble in a bit of Series A, bro. 100%.
Yeah, it's a slow league, but you gotta appreciate the tactics in it, man. Like, you gotta appreciate knowing that you're not gonna see much for 45 minutes because the other team's just gonna be able to cancel them out every single time, and you're like, It's very like the margin for error is very small. Which is like
it's
a perfectionist version of the sport, and that's why I like it, to be honest, bro. But a lot of people, who are only exposed to the Premier League would be like, "Oh, it's a boring league. It's a shit league. It's a dead league." Like, all right, man, no worries.
Like, it's funny how the sport is such like a strategic sort of sport, and a lot of tactics and whatnot. And then you just have one team that comes along and just glitches the whole system.
Yeah,
like you've got, Leicester City, bro. Similar to, for me, Vardy, and who was the Japanese guy up front?
I forget now.
Can't remember, but they pretty much played how your top two are playing at the moment. Lukaku and the Argentinian guy. You've got the Vardy that used to run off that first striker as that second striker, and just absolute menaces up front.
Bro, that was an amazing story, man. That's the Cinderella story if I've ever seen it, bro. It might just be the best one ever. There's been a few good ones in basketball as well, but that one, bro, for me, that's the best. That's the best Cinderella story I've ever seen in sport. Biggest upset.
5,000 to 1, huh?
Far out, bro. 5,000 to 1
at the start of the season, Leicester City.
And they actually won it?
Wow. They were actually favourite to be last, I think, or maybe bottom 3. So they were expected to come 20th.
The crazy thing is that they were only promoted to the Premier League like 2 seasons before that as well. They were a second division side before that for a while.
And I'm pretty sure a couple of years before that, they were in the 3rd league. So they'd gone up 2 leagues and won it with the smallest budget compared to the top teams. But they were just a glitch in the system, bro. Like, people didn't know how to deal with them.
That's insane. That would never happen in the NBA. Never.
No, it was unbelievable, bro. Yeah. But they just had a couple of players that just stepped up consistently. And also, you'd probably know, Priv, behind the scenes, how important it is. The sports and the sports science side to it, the preparation, the recovery. It's actually like a whole network. Like, you're literally just, even Christian, you'd know how it works in the NBA, bro. they're playing a game every 2 days. So the whole maintenance side of the players is probably one of the most important these
LeBron
days.
spends $1 million a year on his body.
Yeah, Tom Brady, go look what he does, bro. I'm pretty sure that guy's got like a mind coach that follows him around as well.
Arsene Wenger's a really remarkable guy for what he did at Arsenal in terms of changing the diet, the nutrition, and the training methods and the overall culture in Arsenal Football Club when he got there. And because he did that, a lot of the other clubs and managers started to follow suit. So he got in and just realized a lot of the players, like these are very, very talented players I've got here, but if they weren't eating like shit and not drinking pints and having cigarettes the night before,
what?
We're gonna obviously do a lot better. And not just that, English British culture, maybe in the mid to late 90s, maybe nutrition wasn't a priority, to be honest. They don't look like they have the tastiest, greeniest
nutrition was a schooner.
Yeah, bro. So I don't know, but Arsene Wenger came into Arsenal and he changed a lot of that culture, and his team just improved drastically, and they set this really good benchmark for other teams to follow. And before you know it, every other team in the Premier League had a good diet, nutrition plan, and good strength and conditioning coaches that actually knew what they were doing. And people looked a little bit more overseas to get some more expertise in from Europe as well. They weren't just closed-minded to choosing people from inside England as well. Branch out. Maybe someone from another country knows something that we don't. Go figure. So yeah, it's nice, very nice.
And he built a castle, bro.
He built a very good squad and a winning culture in that team as well. But it did fizzle. It died out.
Yeah,
died out, cuz.
Selling. That's what happens when you sell key players, bro.
Oh yeah, big time. Oh yeah, got to be careful when you sell big players and you don't have a proper plan in place to build properly afterwards and use those funds.
The Van Persie one killed me the most, bro.
That's the worst, bro. Like, here's the title on a silver platter, bro. Take it.
And Van Persie gets clapped onto the field at Arsenal.
We won the title the week before. We had to give him a guard of honor. Like, it's only Arsenal, bro. Only Arsenal things. How many years, ever since like Arsenal fan TV got like mainstream and stuff, and people started to see it, Arsenal fans have just been looked at and just gone, man. It's just one wave after another.
Hey, Christian, we've got this. So I support Arsenal, and they've got Arsenal TV. So it's a couple of the fans just recapping games and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But they're the worst.
Is it a jerk fest?
The worst group of people to do it, man. Like, they take the piss out of each other. Often than not, they don't really know what they're talking about as well. They just became trendy and just... It's absolutely killed the whole culture of the club, bro, in terms of this fan base.
From this one bloody TV show that they're doing, this jerk fest.
Just gives every single the whole fan base like a mad stigma.
Like imagine you're a player and you draw your game and you go home and you have a shower and you put your phone open and the first thing you see on social media is a bunch of tatted up guys like slagging you off outside the stadium.
Yeah.
Shit that you got to go. You're like, me, man, I'm just going to collect my paycheck, my $70,000 a week paycheck and enjoy myself.
Moved.
Yeah, that's
70,000.
70 is maybe mid.
Yeah, if you're earning 70, you're a good player. Good, that's it, but you're good.
You're average.
You're average good. You're
good. All right. You're not bad. Good size.
What was Sanchez getting at Man United before he came to you guys? 250 a week?
340, I think it was.
That's not even Aussie dollar, eh?
Nah, I think that was Aussie dollar. I don't know, maybe, but it was like 340. But like when clubs do that, they throw out the wage structure of the whole business, and it's bad because even the rest of the league can't react because then it gives the players and their agents too much bargaining power. Way too much bargaining power. It's disgusting, bro. If one good thing comes from this whole pandemic for sport, it's that it could reset the wage structure for many clubs. It could serve as a reset. It's almost like a mini bubble in a way. The whole sport will realize that these numbers are ludicrous. And a lot of these players are losing value. Their transfer value is dipping because their contract length is dipping as well. Time's running out. But so, for example, I think Paul Pogba, his value about 6 months ago was about maybe 95 to 100 million euros. You're probably going to pick him up at about 55 to 65 now, I reckon. And that will be considered very cheap. Like, that's very, very cheap. So, yeah, hopefully a lot of these prices are slashed because it was only going up at astronomical rates as well.
You've got, like, I think of it, man. It's a funny scene. Some of the countries in Europe when it comes to football, you've got royal families just going at it. If you think about it, like you've got royal families that buy clubs, take over ownership, and literally just start building their own teams.
You see how football fans they're so angry towards each other's rival fans, and you've got the ultras and like the flares and the fights and the stabbings and stuff. I've always just called football polite racism, bro. Like it's just watered down racism. Like it's perfectly acceptable to wake up in the morning, chuck on a balaclava, go to the ground in Turkey and scream like fuck Galatasaray, or go and scream, screw Liverpool or fuck AC Milan, whatever. But as soon as you go and say like if somebody's nationality is considered racist, right? But technically you're going to somebody else's place where they are. It's just polite racism, bro. It's like, let's all go and yell at these guys for coming from a different place, a different jersey. And as ludicrous as it sounds, bro, I love it. This is my biggest passion in the whole world, bro. If football didn't exist, I wouldn't exist. I love it so much.
What about when you get it's not even a racist thing. It's they're both Serbian, right? But you have Partizan and you have Red Star.
I want to go to that derby so bad.
They kill each other. They fucking kill each other. The flares.
They'll kill each other for no reason.
They rip the chairs off the fucking the hinges. They chuck them over. The riot squad's in there with batons and hitting them. It's like, what the fuck is going on? They're the same people.
I'll send you, and you too, Christian, there's this movie, this Russian hooligan movie for Russian football ultras. It's called A Call of Footballer. It's really, really good, man. It's like really, really violent and graphic. Have you heard of Green Street Hooligans?
It's the Russian version.
It's basically what Green Street Hooligans wanted to be without Hollywood and anything else to do with it. This is like proper shit. It's good stuff, man. I'm gonna watch it again soon. I've only watched it twice. It's all in Russian.
Dimitri.
Oh, it's sick. It's sick.
I'm thinking about Sydney, man. Remember when Western Sydney came out? It only took a couple of years for them to start punching on with Sydney FC.
A couple of years, probably like a couple of months. Didn't they trash Parramatta in the first season and they'll bring a walkthrough?
Yeah, like at least these other guys have had like decades of conflict. They bring out one team here in Sydney.
That's it.
It's the Western Sydney as well. The Western Sydney.
It's not even worth it. Sydney punch-ons aren't real punch-ons anyway, so it's just...
Compared to there, it gets out of hand over there, man. That's when it gets a bit ugly, man.
It does,
I'm all about channeling your energy into sport, but when it comes to that, man, I think it's just too much, bro.
You know what was tragic though? It happened in Liverpool. Was it the Old Trafford incident? What was it called? No,
Hillsborough.
That's the one where the people got crushed.
That's the one, yeah.
Fuck! I watched a documentary on that, bro. That was heavy.
Yeah, that was in 1989. 96 people died there. That was a real bad one.
Oh man, this kid at the front, I saw the photo and the kid absolutely
getting crushed.
Got crushed. Like you could see, there was dysmorphed.
Yeah, it was bad, eh?
That's a bad way to go.
Horrible.
But yeah. Anyways, Privz, you've completely moved out of the area now, haven't you?
Yeah, man. I'm no longer in the area.
Fuck.
But I do miss the area. I'm still there every now and then, man. And not as deep into your part though. Just more like George's Hall, where I was used to be from. Yeah.
There's levels to the area, huh?
Oh, bro, we could go on all day about the hidden levels and the uncharted levels.
The humans of Bankstown.
That's it, bro. Have you guys been to Bankstown Woolies lately? Because I haven't been there in a while, man. And
bro,
I used to get hyped before I went in there, man. I used to try and like zen out on the walk there and just think like, this is gonna be like stand-up comedy to me because I'll be in the right frame of mind. I know what aisle I need to go to, what item I need to get. Let's just get as much. Let's collect as much information and data as possible today.
Do you remember you used to work at Crunch?
Well, yeah, the little walks from Crunch there were the best.
Hey, do you remember my form when I wanted to leave the gym? I think you found it. You sent
yeah. That was funny, bro.
What did you leave? What kind of feedback did you leave, Idris? I can just only imagine what you put on that form.
He just wrote too many heads under every single section. I think he might have written too many Arabs, too many heads, something like that. But it was very consistent. We got the message. I got the message.
I was there for maybe 1 week.
I knew you wouldn't last, bro. As
1
soon as you
week.
signed up, I'm like, yeah, right, man. Like that's gonna last.
I think it was just bad luck, man. I think I went at the wrong times. I just didn't know what to expect, type of thing. And
the thing is, the wrong time is a very long period in the crunch timeline.
Anytime's the wrong time, huh?
Yeah, but no, it was good fun, bro. As I said, like data collection, bro, very good.
Yeah. That's like bang in the middle of Bankstown, similar to me and Christian with Hoyts.
Yeah, it's where you get the best stories, but man, like I wouldn't change it for anything in the world.
Yeah, 100%.
I remember
that's where you got all your content from, huh? How much content you got? A few books?
a few terabytes.
Not for this particular show, but oh man, too much, bro. We got too much to talk about. But I do miss it, but I miss the area a lot because you can't change where you're from, bro. No way.
For sure. You can never
That's
take
nice and
the
green
area.
out there, bro. You're going for your walks. You got to.
Sorry.
It's nice and green out there, though. You're going for your walks. You got your
yeah. It's very nice, man. Like the mornings are very, very frosty, bro. The oxygen's fresh and a lot of agriculture around. It's very nice, bro.
Any 5G towers?
There's a few, but not in my neighborhood. But I've noticed a few, bro. What about the area? I think they're popping up. Popping up more frequently than Middle Eastern mixed business shops in Yaguna West. So
you know what fucks with me though? Like really fucks with me? The fact that they all went up as the lockdown happened. Like, what are the chances?
Pretty slim to none.
Why do you have to put them up when everyone's locked down? Why couldn't you have done it before? Like, why are they all coming up in mass at the moment? I want to see a double-blind placebo test for these fucking 5G towers. That's what I want to see.
Idris will tell you why.
Oh man, I went over that 5G stuff a couple of weeks ago, bro. I said what I had to say. It's not good for the body. You can't compare it to natural sun rays in terms of, you can't say because it's weaker than the sun that it's not bad for your body. That's just not a good conclusion, eh? And I think that's what everyone, what all the news clippings say. They talk about the benefits of it at the start, how good it is, and then they'll just say how red meat and something else is more closely linked to cancer. So I think just on that one statement alone, people kind of just turn the page. So, but if you get past that, you realize that it does have an effect on your DNA, which is like backed up by a fair few studies. And I think just this, there is no proof to say that the stronger it is, the less effect it has on your body. So it does say that it doesn't go deeper into your body because the rays, what are they, longer? I think it's longer. They can't travel as far. But so they actually travel a further distance into your body. But within that distance it travels into your body, I think it's going to have more of effects. But yeah, man, I think we'll figure out soon.
And the censorship is real as well. They're censoring everything about 5G on YouTube, on Facebook. It's just like,
hey, what do you think about this Brian Rose bloke creating his own platform?
Yeah,
you reckon this is like a opportunity type of thing?
Well, he's got the David Icke Part 3 series coming out that is supposed to be the biggest live stream in human history. He's planning to get 1 million people on the live stream.
Is this for his like big show on that London broadcast?
Yeah, because they censored him.
What exactly? So they censored him on Twitter, is that right?
They censored him on LinkedIn. They deleted his LinkedIn account.
I don't know anything about the guy until I saw his name like pop up on social media the last couple of days. So what did he do before this? Is he just another whistleblower in terms of leaking data on people?
No, he's just a guy that has a platform on YouTube, and he was inspired from Joe Rogan and his podcast and how successful he got. So he kind of tried to do his own little version, and he got people, like all kinds of people from the finance industry, gurus, like all types of people to come on and just talk with them in an uncensored, sort of unfiltered way like we're having right now. And he had this one old guy called David Icke, who's like a professional conspiracy theorist, and he was the guy who pretty much broke the internet, and he got banned off YouTube that particular video because he was saying how 5G was causing coronavirus. And ever since then there's been a massive censorship on these platforms.
There is a lot of censorship in general on many topics, as well as 5G. So is he like another Alex Jones, would you say?
Yeah, but less crazy.
Less, yeah.
Speaking
He's
of,
more
did
of
you
like
see
an
it?
interviewer. Hey,
Did,
did
did
I watch it?
Yeah, did you boys see Alex Jones on London Real?
Yeah, I watched that.
That's the one that you sent me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched that one.
Man, he went deep there.
For
He's been
me,
talking 25 years about this, bro. Go on, did you?
for me, if someone gets Alex Jones on at the moment, I feel like they're kind of a good guy because he seems to be all for the people. He seems to be all about empowering the people. So
he doesn't mind if he goes down for the people, bro. He's already accepted it. He's ready to die for the people.
That's what it seems like, man. So if someone's and he's uncovering things as well that not many other people want to talk about. Like he even had a dig at Joe Rogan, pretty much saying like you have to start piping up for the people. But then again, he goes, maybe Joe Rogan's smarter than me. Like maybe he's doing it in a smarter way, which
he stepped his game up.
Hey,
he stepped his game up in the last few podcasts.
Yeah,
he's been talking more about it. The drip feed's like coming more now.
Yeah, that's what I call it, bro. I call it a drip feed. He's just like strategically planting seeds in everyone's brain. He's not going to come all out and say what he thinks, but I can sense the frustration in him, just in terms of the major websites overlooking the main things you got to do for your immune system. Like if you go onto the World Health Organization's website, it doesn't say anything about vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin A. It doesn't even say anything about the sun. It doesn't say anything about the microbiome. It doesn't say anything about the importance of oxygen, social sort of connection. It doesn't say anything about that. So I think from what I could see in his last one, he's starting to open up about that, which is cool. I think he's got to watch what he says, because if YouTube is censoring people and he's the biggest dude on YouTube, then I feel like he's kind of caught on the fence at the moment. But it is getting to the point where things could go either way, where what he does could determine which way it goes. So it'll be interesting, bro. I'm expecting a 10-hour podcast from him, just dropping bombs. And then that's his retirement. That's what I want to see.
That would be pretty epic if he did that.
I think so, bro. I think even Alex Jones goes, Joe's a good guy. He's one of the good guys, but he goes, I just wish he was a little bit more like me in terms of uncovering things, and rather than just drip feeding people things, just give it to them straight. But then I think Joe's has to also keep an eye on his position, and because I think if he fucks up, that could affect his potential influence in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe what he has to do is stay as relevant as possible, and just continually drip feed people, and maybe he's in it for the long run type of thing. What do you reckon? You reckon he should drop bombs right now?
Bombs on Baghdad.
I reckon the fact that you can't get proper nutritional information off the World Health Organization is just as stupid as it sounds. Like even some of my students picked up on it when I showed them this documentary about sugar, and there's this scene in it where it would have been, it was a while ago now, like into the 60s or 70s, where they released studies and they were sponsored by Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola was the major sponsor for the World Health Organization at the time. And even my students were picking up on it in class going, that doesn't make sense. That's a conflict of interest. Coca-Cola's cheap for you. We get taught that every day on a daily basis. You're picking it up at 14 years old in the classroom. It's pulled over the population's eyes, man. It's stupid, bro. It's absolutely stupid. You go walk in the health food aisle in Woolies or Coles or wherever you go occupies 10% of the supermarket, and it's the most expensive aisle there. Like you go buy a protein bar, it's $5.95. You can get 3 blocks of chocolate for that amount.
But the thing is, how do you reverse that, man? Because for me, you'd have to find out why the sweets are so cheap, and then I think it goes back to what they're made of, and you got to figure out why that's so cheap, and then it always comes back to what's subsidized. So if you subsidize wheat and processed carbs, it's then cheaper to make and cheaper to sell. So the people are more inclined to buy it, right? So if I was to reverse that, I would just say, okay, subsidize organic food then. So whoever wants to open an organic farm, you subsidize it for them.
Yep.
And then that creates it makes it cheaper to produce, cheaper to sell. So the people
corn and the
now
wheat,
eat more organic food, right? So I don't know, man. Like, it's got to start from the top, yeah. But then you speak to some people that have organic businesses, and they actually have to fork out big money to get the organic certification. So it's like, all right, so you're subsidizing processed carbs, and then you're charging people.
They're fighting a losing battle, bro. The system is not set up for them to win. It's designed to slowly phase them out.
Yeah, but the thing is, man, that's when a revolution needs to happen. And I think that might be happening now, man. Like, you see big doctors talking up now, like that Dr. Shiva. I don't know if you've seen anything of his.
Nah, I didn't, man.
Because he's a biological software engineer, I think it is. I think that's the term. So he studies the body as an engineer, as a system of organs. So he understands that this relies on this relies on this, rather than just looking at things, you know, independently. He sees it as like a interdependent sort of system. Anyway, so he's talking up now. He's a MIT PhD, and he's going deep on mainstream media, Gates, Clinton's, deep state. I'm like, what?
Fauci.
I never thought I'd see this. Fauci. I never thought I'd see this in my life. A PhD from MIT going hard on these guys. If there's ever a time where there's going to be a revolution in terms of health, I think now is probably the time. And he's going for US Senate as well. So he's tapping into power, which is perfect. That's what you need. You need more health professionals in policy. If you've only got like lawyers and lobbyists there, then you're obviously not going to get the right policy.
Idris, obviously you're brainwashed, and we need to listen to Gates, all right? We all need to get vaccinated. We need to form one line, and we need to let Gates jab us in the ass with his vaccine.
Do not get me started on Bill Gates, bro. Do not get started on Bill Gates. Look, the thing that I understand it now, where he's a very smart man. He's a very smart man, and I think he's influenced by the wrong values. I don't call him evil. I think everyone's got evil in them. I think just sometimes when you tap into when you feed off the wrong desires, it can have evil consequences. So if one of your desires is always increasing your wealth in terms of money and market share and property and whatnot,
philanthropy.
Yeah, I mean that philanthropy comes, man. That's the next step. So you've got these primary goals, which is your most important ones: your wealth, your own wealth, right? And you team up with absolute assassin investors, which invest in Coke, Macca's, Hungry Jacks, you know what I mean?
Hathaway, Rockefellers.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So once you team up with them, you're like, all right, he's teamed up with dudes with not the best intentions in terms of the people's well-being, but more for their own sort of wealth, right? So that's clear. And he's investing in Berkshire, which is Hungry Jacks. It's fast food, it's McDonald's, it's Coke. So he's investing in that on this side. And then over this side, he pumps most of his money into philanthropy. But then you're tripping out because you're like, this guy's invested in that stuff, which clearly has a negative effect on the body. Like, processed carbs are the one thing that suppress your immune system. And then he's investing in things that are supposed to be for your well-being. So I'm like, all right, that doesn't make sense, but maybe he's trying to do a bit of good, considering he may feel like he's doing a little bit of bad on this side. But then you think, if he's also one of the biggest contributors to the World Health Organization, isn't that a conflict of interest? One of his goals is to help the people, then his other goal is to increase his market share while selling us shit.
Nah. I think he's the good guy. You know, you see him on the TV in Africa, and he's helping those Africans and Indians with the vaccines over there. So if he's on the TV and they're showing on Channel 10 News that he's doing that, he's a good guy, okay?
Wait, speaking of fake media, man, what did you make of Kim Jong-un being dead?
Oh, what?
What happened to that? Is he all good?
But then he was later announced as, well and alive. Rubbish. It took like 3 days. It was like a 3-day lapse between he's dead and he's all good.
So is he all good?
I think so. You can't trust anything that you hear, but Who knows?
I reckon they just need to break up the coronavirus news, just with a bit of entertainment.
You reckon? Probably. Probably.
You know when we talk about like the intentions of mainstream media,
yeah,
because for me, when I watch it, like I say, what's mostly displayed, it's the death counts for corona, right?
Yeah.
And it's the amount of people that have contracted it, and it's the big ship that's coming for your shore with the infected people. It's a lot of fear type of thing, and if you balance that up with how many segments are educational in terms of vitamins and nutrients and sun and exposure to the external world, it's way too skewed, man.
100%.
And then what you do is you got to realize as well that these old people that are watching these news segments every night, they're already immune compromised, and then what happens is they're fearful for about 2 hours because they're watching this like horrific segment. So that further suppresses their immune system. So, and you tell them to stay inside and not get any sun and not see their family. I don't know, man. It's too many factors that just
exactly.
I don't know.
It's very fucked. There's so much
counteract the purpose. Yeah. But
then
again, you go onto Bill Gates' websites and he talks about how vaccines are miracles. So I think the old people are definitely going to want that miracle because they're not feeling too great right now.
They'll get behind it 100% all the way. There's a target market for this vaccine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I say, man. You need a target market. You need to stimulate some demand because you've just invested how many billion 20 years ago into vaccines. So it's a long-term strategy, bro, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's a social marketing strategy as well, man. It's all about getting certain groups of people together, and if you can generate enough belief, bro, it's like a big ball of energy, bro, and it just forms its own consciousness until that consciousness becomes the norm and the entity of society.
Oh man, I hate changing norms, bro. Don't get me started. Cultural norms, bro. Are you an English teacher?
Nah, it's actually I'm not very good with teaching English, man. It's not my strong subject, but I do teach it. I teach it still because I'm at a school with like kids with behavioral or traumatic backgrounds and stuff. So I deliver literacy and numeracy, and then I deliver health and PE as well as part of like my main part. So the literacy and numeracy that I deliver it's quite basic. It's stage 4, like year 7 and 8. But yeah. I'll even put my hand up and say I even sometimes have to look at the question 3 or 4 times. I'm like, you know what? I might need to focus a little bit here. It does it, but I love it, man. It's good stuff.
It's obviously rewarding, but you're dealing with kids that have come from a bad background, and like when you deal with them, man, do you see the potential in them? Do you see that like it's just that little bit of trauma that literally just affects their behavior from then onwards?
It's
called, what is it? Neurosis. Like
it really depends, man. So each kid is so different. So there's a very thorough plans that go into it and go into your, the well-being and the liaison side of things. So what I enjoy about this environment is that you don't necessarily go in depth for content that is not really relevant to the outside world that you would learn in school. How much of what we learned in high school did you actually apply outside here? You could go on all day about how there wasn't much, and I enjoy the fact that these kids can come to a place like this and they will learn how to write a resume, how to sit in for a job interview, while of course still getting that core content as well delivered. But we see the potential in them because every kid deserves an opportunity. There's plenty of avenues out there, and some of these kids are very, very creative because at the end of the day, their mind is all they had for so long growing up. But it is rewarding, bro. It's very, very rewarding.
It's almost like you're a life coach as well, man. If anything, that'd be even cooler than a standard teacher. You're not just teaching the same sort of content every day. It's more. It can be a lot more practical stuff. You reckon?
Absolutely, bro. As long as it's applicable and relevant to them, that's what it's all about. And for them to feel like they've got a safe and secure environment to be at as well. Like this whole lockdown stuff for teachers, for mainstream schools and whatnot, a lot of the kids will stay home and they'll see it as a holiday. They'll be like, fuck yeah, we've got no school. Some of these kids that are at our school will be like, oh shit, no school. So we want them to come back. We want them to feel as though they've got that safe sanctuary here at school, because the respect between the teacher student at the school is different than a normal school, man. They don't call us Mr., Mrs. or Sir. Sometimes they just do out of respect, but it's a different relationship, man. It's a different sort of relationship. Like the issues that we have at this school with the kids aren't defiancy based, if that makes sense. It's more their social skills are still being built up to that level, and their communication between each other is very poor. And because they don't see each other very often, some of these kids come once a week, twice a week, you don't get that time to build good, healthy relationships with your peers. So there's a lot of dissonance from each other. And that's where it breaks down. That's where the school tends to break down on the social differences and distances between the kids. But in terms of being teacher-student, there's no defiancy. There's no get back in your seat, put the water bottle down, just all that kind of stuff that, you know, makes mainstream school. Like, you know, bro, you went to school in the area, bro. I taught at Condell Park High and every other school in Bankstown. We know what it's like, man, when you just get a bunch of large communities and cohorts of kids together that maybe are just a little bit spoiled, and they feed off each other's energy, and maybe one teacher doesn't stand a chance. I loved teaching in the area, but I saw so many teachers that just, they didn't stand a chance, bro.
Funniest moment in high school, Privz?
No,
one of the funniest.
Oh, from teaching?
No, from like being a student and growing up in the area. Because we had some wacky teachers, Idris. We had some wacky fucking teachers, man.
Oh yeah, man. I can't pinpoint one moment, but like our school is unique in its own way, because I think it's a little bit sad in a way as well. You get a bunch of Catholic schoolboys in Bankstown together. They all go to the same school, and they're all shit scared, bro. Like you all come from beautiful houses. You've got beautiful families, good parents who've got good intentions for you. That's why they're forking out all this money for education, right? Every single year. You wouldn't go against your parents' wishes, bro. You're too scared. You're way too scared. So that's the majority of kids in paid education versus free education. The whole mentality of I don't give a shit trickles down from everything. Absolutely everything. And it all starts at home. If you want your kid to succeed in education, it starts at home. Simple as that.
Yeah. Amen.
But it's cool that your role is a little bit more personal than most teachers. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's good. It's what I was looking for a bit. It's very rewarding. You'd both be great at it. You don't need it. You don't need a teaching degree to do a lot of my role, I feel.
Yeah.
But it helps a lot.
Obviously. You know what pisses me off though, Privz? The fact that people like you are seen as less valuable in terms of monetary value compared to someone who like closed the deal with a big company.
Yeah, but that's just the way the world works, man. At the end of the day, if you really want to start appreciating people, man, go and pay the farmers the biggest wage of all, and give them what they need to give us the fresh sustenance we need to survive, and then go and pay the nurses and the teachers and give them all the resources.
Well, hopefully from this pandemic we can reset that system and maybe something can fucking change. You know,
that would be nice. I hate being a pessimist, but I feel like it's not just this period of time that's done this to me. Christian, you know me for a while. I've thought for a while that, you know, we've almost lost the fight against the system and the plan, and whatever's been put in place that's been in there for a long, long time now. I feel like we lost the fight a long time ago. But you know what? This COVID stuff, it's interesting. Trump is interesting, bro.
Trump is very interesting.
He's a very interesting human being.
Did you guys see the press conference that everyone's just fucking blown it over about? Wait, let me put this on. Can you hear it?
Thank you very much.
Yeah. How do you do that, by the way?
A question that probably some of you are thinking of if you're
this one really told
totally
him to
into
put
that world,
disinfectant.
which I find to be very interesting. So
I can't hear.
supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light.
Must be because your microphone.
And I think you said that has him in check, but you're going to
basically what he said was he didn't even know what he was saying. He got completely taken out of context.
Someone stitched him up.
Yeah, dude, there is an agenda. And it's so clear that there is an agenda to break down this guy's reputation, no matter what. No matter what. It's so blatantly obvious.
Well, that's what you want to see, bro. You want to see the media going against the dude in charge. That means the dude in charge is doing something right.
He is. Like, well, I hope he is. You know, we can only pray that he is. But to me, he just seems like just a businessman, like that's conducting his business, and he doesn't really care about people's feelings. He doesn't care about making people, you know, hurt in terms of the stupid questions that he gets asked all the time. It's just like,
can you see my screen?
I can, yeah.
Oh.
So this is like the media in the United States and what way they lean. So obviously, Trump's a right-wing politician, right?
That's right.
So there you go, all their supporting news outlets right there. But the majority of them lean towards the left, and a lot of these are the main ones that do a lot of reporting on him. Like, this is the Trump hot zone. Like, if there was a heat map, for sport and ground covered, they would cover majority of the Trump fixture.
It's all the left-wing people that don't like him, hey?
Yeah, looks like it.
And then the dudes that own all these companies are just all major globalists that have their own agendas, sort of thing.
Yeah, they also pumped the left side of the election like no tomorrow. That's why when Hillary didn't win, it was like, what happened, bro?
That's a big loss. That's a landslide, bro. But it came down to that Cambridge Analytica, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
See, it all came down to Assange and the WikiLeaks, bro.
Yeah,
a combination of things. Yeah, it was Alex Jones teaming up with fucking Donald Trump. It was Cambridge Analytica that got him the social media presence, and it was the fact that Julian Assange exposed Hillary Clinton and the whole Pizzagate pedophile thing. That was huge.
Oh yeah, that was big, man. What did you think of that?
It's fucking crazy how it's not spoken about more.
Every time it gathers momentum, it just gets squashed online. Documentaries go up, they get pulled down. People talk about it, it gets pulled down.
Out of the Shadows. Have you watched that?
There's a whole... Nah, I was going to watch that next. I just finished watching The Fall of the Cabal.
Ooh, that was heavy. That was so heavy, bro.
Good stuff.
Dude.
Have you seen it, Idris? You'd like it a lot.
I haven't seen it, bro.
Oh my god, that's the Q stuff, Idris. I watched the 10-part series.
Yeah,
man.
No, my mate sent it to me. Didn't it get it got what, 5-6 million views in the first week, didn't it? Maybe even more.
I think like first day.
First day.
It keeps getting pulled down though. You have to get lucky. I got lucky yesterday. I found it. It was up for 3 hours, 7 hours. I managed to watch it. I don't know if it's still up now, but yeah.
And it just details.
You know something? You want to know something weird about it? The part on YouTube that went up yesterday, someone pulled a part out of the video. Like, it was weird. The person who uploaded it, the full documentary was allowed to stay up. It's in 10 parts. Part 5 was missing from the video, and he wrote in the description, he goes, I'm not sure why, but part 5 is missing from the video. Here's the link to an external link for it. Part 5 is the 20-minute version that's just heavily focused on the pedophilic ring and all that.
The Pizzagate, right?
Yeah, that's the 20-minute whole session. It's the most graphic part of the documentary. Because I finished watching it and I'm like, all right, where's that last part that they said what was missing? I'm going to watch it and I'm like, oh man, that's like 50 times heavier than every other part put together.
Man.
That's bad. That's really bad. I was hoping it was all just a hoax, to be honest, bro, by the end of it.
Oh, dude.
Sounds like...
My poor missus was watching it next to me as well. She's good. Yeah, but...
Just a cozy night in, huh?
I didn't give her much warning.
She thought it was a romantic sort of date night, huh?
Come on, bro. The Fall of the Cabal. There is nothing romantic about that.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I think that's best case scenario. All the top dogs get done. Literally just weeds out everything. The people come together because of it. And we kind of... all over the world, sort of enforce our own sort of values and systems and take over. I think that's
big bliss. You think it can happen? You see it happening?
I'm optimistic, bro. I think it'll be a snowball effect. Once people catch on to World Health Organization, they stop taking advice from them because I guess they're only an advisory body, right? So they have no actual jurisdiction or power. They just advise. So
they're in bed with China.
I think once they lose their legitimacy, then it's snowball from there. Maybe all their investments into pharma don't fall through, which is what's planned. They're expecting big return on their big investments, and yeah, man. And then the rise of human empowerment. I think human empowerment is going to come from people realizing that they're the actual miracle. The vaccine isn't the miracle. So that's what they're trying to be convinced at the moment. So I picture it as like humans being sucked, their nutrients being sucked out of their body, fully deficient and dependent. So the opposite of that is empowering them through knowledge and the right resources. And we learn from our mistakes over the last couple 100 years. And That's best case scenario. So
there's a lot of damage to reverse though, bro. Like people's daily habits are a reflection of this global system to push sugar and salt, mostly sugar and just bad food in general. Like it's just easy. Like your daily scenario, you're a working mother or you're a working parent, whatever. You go pick up your kids from school. You've had a working day yourself. Are you looking forward to preparing dinner? Are you looking forward to all the procedure and the washing that goes with it? Or are you more than happy to go through drive-through or to get takeaway and to get not only a cheaper option, but your kids are really happy. They won't complain in the meantime. You can have food straight away. You get to relax. You can throw the paper right in the bin. Everybody's happy. Everyone's fatter, but everyone's happy, bro.
As well, McDonald's has gone contactless as well, so you don't have to touch anyone. So that's good. And you can buy your bread and milk from Macca's as well now.
Yeah, I saw that. Interesting.
That's mad.
You can take your kid to get a Happy Meal as well.
Yeah, mad. So it's got like the whole combo. It'll be near the service station as well. So I can go fill up petrol and just get a couple of chockies while I'm in there. No, but if you had to reverse the whole system, it would be a pandemic, bro, if you ask me. How else do you get the whole system to stop?
Well, think about it, bro. The world has never shut down like this before. Never.
Yeah, sounds like a reset.
World War II, World War One, the Spanish influenza. Never have everything just shut down. It's so fucking crazy. It's so fucking crazy.
Never have we been so connected at the same time as well. So like, everyone all around the world realizes that they could. Everyone's kind of seems against the globalists at the moment. I've never seen so many people talk about global movement all at once.
It's refreshing.
The biggest dude on the internet right now is about to, or had just done something with Alex Jones, Ike again. He's got Wim Hof on. Everyone that kind of empowers people, he's getting them on at the moment. So he's getting the right people on. He's not using this spotlight to brainwash the people. It's kind of it's a decent movement. He's telling people where to look as well. Even that doctor, he just had that doctor on today.
What was the latest interview that David Icke did? Can you link it to me? Because I haven't seen much in the last few days. When was the last time he spoke?
That one's banned off YouTube, bro. You're gonna have to go on LondonReal.tv, and it's on his website there because it's off YouTube. They fucking took it off.
There's that doctor. He just did one with today. I'll get you the name of it.
Isn't like an Indian bloke, right?
Yeah, Dr. Rashid Buttar.
Yeah, I saw that in a group. I was meant to watch it, but then I clicked the link, and it was funny. This link cannot be displayed.
He's talking about mainstream media as well. He's talking about agendas, coronavirus agenda. I found it weird how the NIH funded the actual lab where the whole testing and research was going on, and the NIH is funded by Gates. And then Gates funds the organization Peerbright, who's got the patent on the virus. And then Gates owns the fucking vaccine production line. And Gates also owns Coca Macca's. So that's trips me out. You just literally have to draw a circle with his name in the middle and just draw those branching off it.
It's everywhere.
And it doesn't take a genius to figure that one out. But I think now you've got all these big doctors talking up against him, and I think America pulling their funding is massive, bro.
Yeah, Trump said, fuck you, we're not listening to you anymore. We're doing our own research with the sanitizer and the light, and it goes inside and it does the cleaning.
Trump, if you're going to go against World Health Organization, you're going to have to come up with, like, your next step is important. And then he goes and pulls disinfectant out.
He's just taking the piss, man, honestly.
But hopefully that means Australia follows in their footsteps as well. Where's he gone?
I'm here, boys. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, because if Australia follows in their footsteps continuously, then hopefully this is the same story, isn't it? Or are we on the globalist side?
So this article that I read today, it pretty much explains that Australia is at a decision time between America and China, our biggest economic partner, right? Because Australia relies 30% of its GDP for exports to China. 30% is a lot for one fucking country. So now that you know, there's no more trade going on, that's like minus 30% straight off the bat, where Australia's not making money, which is really bad. So, and obviously there's big tensions between China and the US. And to be honest, bro, like it's so tense right now. Any little thing could be considered an act of war, and we could see the fucking Third World War here. Not even joking. It's completely in the books at the moment. If some shit happens where Trump doesn't like what Xi Jinping did, or vice versa, then it's on, bro.
Where do you guys get your news from on like a day-to-day basis for credibility sources, not for comical sources and banter sources? Like, do you guys like Al Jazeera? I still like Al Jazeera.
Yeah, I listen mainly to people on YouTube, bro. Like David Icke, he has really good guests on. Any form of long conversation that's unfiltered, that you can kind of gauge the person, whether they're being sincere or they're just being a bullshit artist as well. So David
it's also
Icke,
now we're turning to people, we're turning to personalities who we feel like we you know, we're acclimatized to, that we relate to in order to get our information, because we feel this internal thing of trust that we now don't feel for the media and the mainstream media. Like, obviously with technology, everyone's been given a voice, and that's the best thing to combat all this bullshit that's been going on. People being able to have a voice, because no one would have done this in the 80s or the 90s or even in the early 2000s, because you know, it's just one gospel. What goes through TV is what, and before that, the radio was gospel. People were even talking about the newspaper the same way we talk about the media and the internet right now. It's been going on since the dawn of time.
Yeah, I think it's much easier to brainwash the people back then than it is now, because the long tail of the internet, and you can get.
There's also shitloads more people on Earth now. Shitloads more.
Yeah, I think we've never been so connected, boys, which is mad. I think that's the underlying theme at the moment, that the censorship and the control, they start censoring shit, and then if they're able to pick what's important or not, or what's detrimental to others, then I think that's the point where the whole technology connection decreases or diminishes. Like, they're banning things about vitamin C now on YouTube, so that's things like that is where everyone's got to be like, oh, like, what's going on here? You know, you've got doctors screaming about the importance of it, and then you're saying that it conflicts with World Health Organization's advice. That's the troubling part. So I think the eyes have to be on big tech and big telecom in terms of our ability to connect and censorship. We've never been so connected. We've never had this much power in terms of, like, as a unit, as a community, but it can definitely be changed overnight, I think.
Yeah, man.
Even vitamin D, vitamin A, the sun.
So
like, no one really, it doesn't get pumped up. It probably hasn't got the algorithms behind it as well. Fuck. Remember, you could just go onto your feed and it'd just be like in the timeline of just like when people upload it.
There's too much shit now. It gets clogged up.
Clogged up.
Algorithms, bro. The worst.
I'm not a numbers man, bro. I don't know how it works, but I just know some things get prioritized over others. And it's got a pretty decent sort of what do they call it? I think it came up in that whole Cambridge Analytica, where they've got a pretty good picture of you as a person, and they know exactly what to filter it with.
Yeah. And they use the cookies.
You feel like the people of America are more exposed to this than we are in Australia. I don't feel as though we are being spied on or paid as attention to in an Australian sort of thing than the American people. Can you honestly feel that there are a bunch of Australians behind the scenes spying on us, bro? We're just not that bothered.
China's the worst. China's definitely the worst in terms of civilian surveillance. Like,
I don't even see it come to the countries. I think it just comes to companies.
Companies, I guess so.
Yeah. It's got like you've got like when you've got big companies merging and stuff like that, or collaborating, that's where it gets a little bit dangerous. And it's not even like in an evil way. It's just business interests. And then I think our values conflict with their business interests. It's like I wouldn't even say Bill Gates is an evil bloke, man. It's just his business interests are prioritized over the well-being of others, or the privacy of others, or people's sense of freedom. And it's just because he's just invested big money, and he doesn't really. I think it doesn't really affect him too much if other things, if his big investments affect a lot of other people. And then when you got a group of people like that just collab for their own business interests, you just got a whole network of big corps collabing for their own interests, and then you've got investors that pump their money in. So it's kind of like a big network up above. But good thing is that now the word's getting out and the spotlight's on them. So I think a lot of people are going to have to do a lot of answering. I'm keen to see where this whole Trump WHO goes. That's the most interesting one for me, because I think that's the root cause. Like Gates literally has a big network, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Like his philanthropy, man. It's literally just a setup. It's a setup for him to be able to have increased policy influence, and then that policy influence that he has ultimately encourages business on this side. So his investments into big pharma on this side, and then his philanthropy just doing a bit of policy influence on this side, and then the more power he has over here, the more influence, the more grants he gives out, the more studies he produces, the more organizations which create projects on his side, just ultimately benefits his big pharma investments on this side. And it's just weird that he started his whole philanthropy when he started investing in pharma as well.
Yeah. And now the fund in there is worth something like, what, $45 billion?
Lots of money, bro. For Pfizer, I think they're called.
Yeah, they're the biggest pharmaceutical company in the world, right?
Yeah, just go look at what he did back in 1999 with them. He just started like collabing with them. Obviously Warren Buffett's influence in terms of investing. His philosophy is long-term safe investments, and they kind of know that the best way to reach everyone is through health products. So they kind of call it it's like a medical sort of tyranny is what it's shaping to be. Not that that's his intention or his original purpose, but that's what it might turn into if the people become too sick and they become dependent on a miracle vaccine.
This thing has given people a lot more time to do their own research. It's just a matter of being bothered to do your own research.
Oh, bro. And you know what? It's funny, bro. Like, it's actually a Netflix series, bro. Every single time I sit down, I just see what else this guy's into. This I call him Bill Gates. He's literally from the area, bro. He's every time you sit down, bro, you just laugh, man. I don't even call it a rabbit hole, bro. I just it's actually just it's a comedy show. And
you know what's funny, man? Vanessa asked me if I wanted to watch Contagion. It's a new series on Netflix about like a similar thing about the virus and stuff like that. I look at her, I'm like, Ness, we got a real life contagion right here. Why do you want to watch it on TV when we're living through it right now? You know what I mean?
Bro, I totally understand that, man. Like, it's stimulating. It's stimulating and rewarding at the same time. And it's like, I think I was telling you, Christian, like some people refer to it as a rabbit hole, but I actually refer to it as like you're coming out of the cave, sort of. Do you know about Plato's cave analogy?
Yeah, you always quote that. That's the best.
Always related back to the cave analogy, man. It's just this analogy of just these prisoners that have their whole life looked at a wall, and the whole time they've just seen projections of shadows from people walking behind them onto the wall, and that's all they see. That's their reality. So the point of the story is that the shadows on the wall are actually just projections of the people walking behind them, because there's a fire even further behind those people. So the point of the story is that their subjective perspective is just that wall with the shadows. So that's what they think reality is. But in reality, it's the people behind them. So, I see it as that, man. I see it. Where's that bloke? Go to that picture on the right.
Ooh. There you go.
Yeah, see that guy there?
Mm.
Yeah, the guy at the top, bro.
Oh, this guy at the top?
Yeah, see, I don't see it as going down the rabbit hole into darkness and alone. I see it as like the more digging you do, the closer you may come to truth. It's almost like an enlightenment sort of thing. So
it is,
if you enjoy the process and don't let the confronting info get to you, then I think that's the important thing.
And these are the regular everyday people just sitting there watching those projections that are cast by these people.
Yeah, look at the dudes there. So they're casting it onto the wall, and that's their projections of reality. But in reality, reality is actually where the guy is up the top.
Yeah, up here. But these guys are just watching a simulation, pretty much.
Yeah, they're like, it's almost like they're in comfort. They've got trust in the information that they're getting. They're not really
they're watching Netflix, bro.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
They're watching Netflix. They're watching the Jordan series.
Can't wait to go and watch that, man. Episode 3. I cannot wait to go watch episode 3.
Yeah, he's a psycho actually, and it's funny that it started from trauma. Did you see that?
His brothers.
Yeah, he talks about his brother and his dad.
Yeah,
it's just like, bro, something that great has to come from that bit of struggle at the start. So I always knew he got cut by his basketball team, but it just didn't make sense for someone to be that crazy at winning just because of something like that. So
obsessed.
Yeah, interesting to see that it stemmed from a younger age.
Hectic, boys. We've been going for 75 minutes. Anything else you wanna say before we wrap it up?
Should do this again, boys.
Thanks for calling me, bro. It was an absolute pleasure.
No worries. What are you doing, Privz? Tell people about your Facebook thing that you're doing with Inter.
Well, it's only really relevant if anyone's listening and they're a football fan. So it's the name is Inter Worldwide. Yeah, the brand is Inter Worldwide, and basically all we do is we report on any news or we write specialized articles. We have the socials, a YouTube channel, and a podcast related to everything Inter, the team Inter, and Serie A and Italian football as well. So it's one of many good podcasts to get your football fix from, bro. So it only pretty much focuses on there. It's a niche brand. It's just a little something that gets the fans by, but it's all good to fill up time, bro. We need to fill up our time with as many productive things as possible.
Yeah, for sure.
Or else the vices get the better of us.
Yeah, for sure. I'll put the links in the description of the video. But yeah, and then Idris, you got your podcast that you're doing. Any guests coming up soon? Any good guests?
Not really, bro, to be honest. Just been focusing on Bill Gates at the moment, eh? I'll try to get
Ask Bill Gates, ask Bilal if he can come on.
I'll get him on for a couple of questions now. Just been cruising at the moment, man. Back to work this week, so dig into that. A little bit of PT on the side as well, so nothing too crazy, but I'm actually enjoying the frequency at the moment in terms of everyone's kind of slowed down. So
yeah,
I'm enjoying that, man. Bit of gardening as well. Get into the garden.
Oh, I love the gardening.
Get into the sun.
I don't like saying it because it sounds selfish, because there's people suffering and people might be unhappy, and not just suffering because of the disease, because of like financially you lost your job, lost your house. But I've been enjoying this downtime a lot, like just being able to reconnect with myself and with people close by. It's been the best thing, and I like it. I've liked it a lot. I'll just leave it there.
Definitely a lesson, man, in terms of it's good as well, man, because like never before in our life have we been able to just sort of stop and figure out exactly what direction we want to go. So yeah, if it wasn't for the economic crisis and the hardship, it would have. It's actually a blessing, man. But hopefully that short-term damage is for that long-term gain. That's what I always say.
That's what I was getting.
Yeah. Exactly, so fingers crossed, and I'm probably the most optimistic person I know. So I think it's going well in terms of the root issue. Can't complain. Grateful.
Awesome.
Always.
All right, boys. Well, thank you all. Appreciate it. Love you. Stay safe, and let's do this again.
Ciao.
Man.
All right.
Cheers, boys.